Welcome to Dollars and Cents. Our podcast is designed to provide listeners with financial advice in a language you can understand. Created and hosted by Marc Freedman, President and CEO at Freedman Financial, he discusses timely topics that help individuals and families make smart financial decisions. Count on lots of energy, candid discussion, and a few laughs. And now, here's your host of Dollars and Cents, Marc Freedman of Freedman Financial.
Welcome back to another edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial. My name is Marc Freedman, sitting in a different chair today, and I'm joined by Kristen Karcher.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? So when we did this the last time, Marion was sitting here. I was sitting over there. So this is like a different view for me. Well, you didn't flip-flop. You're in the same seat. Wow. You're in the only seat. Because this is the first time you've done this, right?
This is true. This is my chair now.
Okay. I guess now I'm stuck in this seat forever. So whatever it is. So welcome to our video edition of Dollars and Cents.
Thank you, Mark. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you here because I think you got a nice rhythm when we do these podcasts. It's kind of nice. It's nice to have you here. Marion's away on vacation this week, so we figured we would do our thing together.
Sounds good.
All right. So, look, here we are, first week of March. Tax season's coming near, but you know what also is coming up? In the month of April, everyone's got a day for something, right? There's National Pizza Day, National Donut Day. There's February was Black History Month. There's every month, there's days, there's all this stuff. Did you know that April, Financial Literacy Month? So we're going to be doing some stuff in the month of April that are really going to try to encourage people to really understand financial literacy. It's a topic that's really not shared in school. Did you have financial literacy classes in school?
It was not required, but I did take a personal finance class in high school, which was great. It's where I learned that I really enjoy this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what, could I do this for a job? And slowly but surely I learned that you can do this for a job. And here I am today.
And you do a pretty good job of it as well.
I think so as well.
7 years with us, right?
7 years with Freedman Financial.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Yeah, financial literacy is one of those things, though, in Massachusetts that can be infuriating when it comes to personal finance because for whatever reason, our legislature just doesn't want it to be taught in the schools, which just frustrates the heck out of me. I could go on a whole rant of why they give me reasons of why they don't allow it, but nevertheless, we are going to kick that issue down the road. We're going to focus on what we can do, and we're going to do our part in providing some financial literacy advice. So let's talk about this, Christian. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we're going to talk about this in April, but here's like a little preview of some of the things that comes. When you think of financial literacy, when someone says to you, what comes to mind when you think of financial literacy? Christian, what do you think some of the top things might be?
So number one, I think of cash flow, which incorporates a lot. But most importantly, it incorporates your income, what gets taken out of your income for taxes and that sort of thing, mm-hmm. and your spending. And coincidentally, if you've got income and you spend a certain amount, anything that's left over also includes savings. So right there, I think that's step one, is figuring out what are you spending, what are you earning, and do those numbers line up? Is there amount saved? Are you spending too much? Are you not spending enough? That's step one in financial literacy.
And it's one of the first questions we ask when we see people when we're having a financial planning discussion, and generally that's the answer that they oftentimes don't know. They all know how much money they make. And if I say you're making $75,000, I said, maybe you're making $75,000. It's no. I'm making $75,100. That's what they're going to say, right?
Right.
They know exactly how much they make.
And a $5,000 bonus, and so it's 80. Yes.
Whatever it is. But so how much do you spend? Oh. Do they know that answer?
No. And then you say, okay, so let's try to work there and get there and figure out, okay, first, how much do you bring in after all your taxes and stuff?
Right.
And they can't tell you their take-home pay.
Yeah, what's your take-home pay look like?
It's about $2,000 every 2 weeks. So you know the exact gross number, but realistically, that is a number kind of high pie in the sky. You don't ever see all of that money, but you remember that top-line number.
Because interestingly, what people talk about is they want to tell you how much they make. Not that they really talk about it. I mean, talking about money is one of those taboo things. I think people are getting a little bit more comfortable with it. There's a term that we actually put in our newsletter. It's called loud budgeting. Did you see that piece that we did in our newsletter?
I have not. Skip that one? Can you explain that one?
Yeah, okay. So thanks for reading the newsletter.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Just throwing him under the bus on the show. But no, don't worry. You don't write the newsletter. That's not your thing. But there's this term called loud budgeting. It's actually a term that is being attributed to your generation. And yeah, he's already looking at me like, Mark, you're nuts. So loud budgeting is the point where kids growing up, parents didn't really want to talk about money. They didn't want to exchange how much they spend, what they do. So loud budgeting is telling your friends how much money you spent on something or how much things are costing. So when they say, hey, do you want to go on this vacation? They say, well, I just spent X on this and Y on that, so I really can't afford that vacation. Generations beforehand would generally say, oh, sure, we'll go. And in the back of your mind, you were figuring out, how am I going to pay for this? Where's it going to be on the credit card? So it's a nice step. So you've never heard this term before?
No, I've never heard the term before, and I'm trying to think through examples. And yeah, I think there is a little bit of truth to that. And I do think it is better that you have at least some communication of that information, because so often, we've seen in the past and still today, where people are keeping up with the Joneses. So if you don't talk about, okay, I've spent money here, here, and here, and your friends say, well, let's go to Aruba for a week, all of a sudden you've got to figure out how to spend that money. And that's when people get in trouble. They put something on a credit card, they say, we'll pay it off later, an emergency comes up, and then they're in a cycle of debt.
So we're talking about this point of cash flow and this element of this world of financial literacy. And we said that people can almost to the dollar tell you how much they made. But when you ask them how much they're spending on things, they generally don't know. I'm thinking of an example. Just this past week, we were talking to a friend of ours who accepted another job. She was applying for a job. The job was paying $68,000, and she said she wanted $70,000. And she says to us, she said, well, I'm not going to take the job if they don't pay me $70,000. The job was paying $68,000. And I said, do you want the job? She said, yeah, I want the job. I said, is it really worth trying to argue over $2,000? I said, are there any bonuses that are provided? She says, oh yeah, they provide about 10% of my pay in a bonus at the end of the year. I said, so that would bring us a little closer to $75,000. Yeah, but I need a $70,000 salary. I think it's important that people try to understand what the whole package is, and most people don't really think about that, do they?
Right, especially all of the benefit. I mean, that could be a whole episode. In fact, we might do a whole episode on employee benefits.
Sure.
Because benefits are really important, and they are of great value. If there's a company that's paying $65,000, but they have a really good 401k match where they match 10% of your salary, well, all of a sudden that becomes really valuable, but no one's going to, when they're deciding jobs, very few people will think of it that way. They'll go, well, no, the base salary is this. Let's not factor in the 401k contributions, what the healthcare costs, all those pieces that are all part of compensation.
Absolutely, and oftentimes people don't realize the value of some of the health insurance benefits that are provided by some companies.
Oh, and the big thing is that can vary so widely based on who you are working for, what's available, how much you pay versus the employer pays, what the deductibles look like. That is...
Well, let me give you a perfect example. We'll use our office as an example, and as many of you know as you watch this show, we sold Freedman Financial to LPL Financial to be part of a larger conglomeration. And prior to that, for the almost 55 years that Freedman Financial operated, we ran our own business and had to take care of health insurance for our employees. And health insurance at a small business level is expensive.
Sure is.
I didn't even realize how expensive it was until I learned what LPL's health insurance was for us. So for example, one of the benefits that we offered at Freedman Financial when we were owned by just Freedman Financial was we provided 100% of the cost of health insurance
Absolutely, yeah.
to all of our employees. For them, not for their spouse, not for their kids, but for them. They would have to pay the difference. And we even fronted you the...
money for the HSA,
right,
yes.
Money for the HSA, right. So we funded that too. But the cost for health insurance, for me, I had a family plan, right? So I have 5 kids, but it doesn't matter when it comes to health insurance, whether you have 2 kids or 51 children, the family health insurance plan is the same.
So people are subsidizing your family in that
Yeah,
case.
and thank you all very much for that. I appreciate that. Nevertheless, $35,000 a year I was paying for health insurance. $35,000 a year. Your single health insurance, I think we were paying, what was it, like $900 a month or something?
I don't know, you paid it for
Well, that's right, I paid it for it. It was like $900 a month. So here's the big change. So LPL now comes in, buys our firm. And I never, and when we used to tell the staff, let me back up. We would tell the staff, we'd sit down with them, show you your package of all the benefits, all the things that you got. You got your salary, you got your bonus, you got your profit sharing contribution, there was the match to the 401k plan, and here's how much money we paid for health insurance. And so we would add that up as the collective total of your compensation. And honestly, did you really care how much I was giving you for health insurance?
I appreciated it.
Yeah, but you didn't count that as part of your overall comp, did you?
No, that is not the number I would have been thinking of if someone said, "How much are you making?"
That's right. No one thinks about that. But I did, because I was the owner at the time, and I was writing those checks. So now LPL comes along, and because they're a Fortune 500 company, not only do they provide us with better health insurance, my out-of-pocket cost for health insurance is $9,000, and it was $35,000 then. Now, I know it's a little bit different for you, so you have to pay for some of your health insurance now, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, but it's
well. So I have asthma, so I've got the albuterol inhalers that I need to get, and they are about a quarter of the cost on the new insurance as they were on the small business plan.
Yeah.
So the point is, there's a lot of factors in even just health insurance, not to factor in any of the other benefits, that should be considered when you're looking at what is my income.
That's right. So there's the income part, and then there's the expense element, right?
Absolutely.
The expense element is just so critical for us to understand what is it that we spend, because when it comes time for retirement and that paycheck stops, you got to figure out how much do you need to spend in retirement to support your life.
Right.
And if you don't know that number, you could say, well, I need to have, people always ask, how much money do I need to have to retire? Is it $1 million? Is it $500,000? Is it $10 million? What's the number? Well, hate to say, what's the answer?
It depends.
That's our favorite two words here. It depends,
Yes.
right? It depends, because how much do you spend? We have some clients that spend $2,000 and others that spend $20,000, $30,000 a month. A month, that's right. So how much money do you need to have? Well, we need to understand how much you're spending. And that, to me, that's the financial literacy component that you start with, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everything flows from what is the income coming in, what are the expenses going out, and then from there, you build up your net worth by spending less than you earn, and then saving that money and making sure that it grows over time.
Yeah, so we've always said, the first expense that you should have is paying yourself.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
But so many people figure, well, I got this expense and this one, I got my mortgage, I got my car payments, I got food, I got cable, I got all these things, and if there's anything left over, I'll put it aside. That's very counterintuitive, and that's a self-defeating strategy if you want to retire and you want to start to build wealth, right?
Right, and the thing we know about people is they don't like to do things, right? So if you say, okay, at the end of the month, I'll see how much is left, and I'll send a distribution of $37 this month and $50 the next to my retirement account.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't going to send those checks. They're going to find some reason why it should stay there, and then they won't do it. So we always say, and this is a big thing in financial literacy, automate as much as you possibly can.
That's right.
If you can automate your bill paying, if you can automate your savings, if you can automate your investing, if you set that up and automate it, it's less decisions for you to make and less opportunities for you to say, I don't think I'm going to make that decision this month.
Yeah, we've used the term money you don't see is money you don't spend. And that's why we encourage people to put money into their 401k plan when it's an option for you. And does it matter whether they match or not, Christian?
I mean, it does matter in the sense that a match is free money. So
Right.
if you're contributing 10% and your employer's going to match half of that, they're giving you 5% of your income, just as that retirement plan contribution. So in that sense, it does matter. In the other sense, if you get past that match and you say, well, there's no incentive for me to be saving because my employer's not matching anymore, that shouldn't be how you're thinking about it. You aren't just getting free money, you are saving for your future. And there is an amount that you should be saving based on how much you're spending, and we can help you figure that out. And you should continue to save,
Absolutely.
even if it is above a match or if your employer doesn't match at all.
Someone once told me, they said, you get an instant return on your money in a 401k plan, even if you just put everything in the cash account. Think about this. Let's say you're in the 20% tax bracket, just using 20% as a number. If you make $1,000 a week and you say, I want to have 10% of my pay put into my 401k. You're doing that on a pre-tax basis. So 100 of your $1,000 would go into that 401k plan. Now, had you not put it into the 401k plan and you were in the 20% tax bracket, that $100 that you would have been paid would have had 200 of those, $20 of that $100 withheld in taxes. So you would have only walked away with 80. So you're immediately getting almost a 20% return on your money if you're in the 20% tax bracket by putting money in your 401k at no risk. You gotta look at these things, whether it's the Roth 401k, the regular 401k, we can talk about that another day. But the point of today's call is to give people a taste of what financial literacy is all about. Some of the things that we'll talk about, what we call financial advice in a language you can understand. If you don't know where the money is, what's coming in and what's going out, you're in trouble.
That's right.
I thought we were going to get something pithy from you.
Oh, sorry.
I got it. That's right.
Well,
you are right. You are right.
I thought you were wrapping
I was going to wrap it up. See, like I said, we're new. We're doing this podcast here. We're doing a video. This is an interaction. You're doing great. Right. And any other final words that you'd like to offer up about financial literacy before we do wrap up this session, Christian?
No, I think we'll leave a little bit of mystery for our whole series in April, where we're going to kind of break down a little bit more detailed those cash flows, those spendings, what debt means, what is good debt, what is bad debt, how to analyze the whole picture of your financial life in a way that is simple and in a language you can understand.
You said that very well. That's what financial literacy is all about. The big picture, understanding the big picture first. Yes, I know people think when they work with a financial advisor, oh, you guys must handle investments. Yes, we do. But I'll tell you, little piece of the big project. Little piece, though people think it's the most important. There's no news shows on TV dedicated to cash flow analysis or to even financial literacy for that matter, right? But there's plenty of CNBCs and Bloombergs and FXN and all these other stations that are out there. But if now's the time for you to get serious about your financial planning and investment management needs, I hope you'll give us a call. Our phone number, 978-531-8108. That's 978-531-8108. Or you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter that lands every Friday into your inbox at 10:30 in the morning. You go to our website, freedmanfinancial.com. That's Freedman,
2 E's and a D.
Financial.com. Go to the bottom of any page, put in your name and your email address, and boom, you will get our newsletter. You can also learn about the types of clients we serve, the costs to work with us, what financial planning looks like, and so much more. That's going to do it for us today. Christian, thank you for joining me in today's podcast.
Thank you, and we'll be back for Financial Literacy Month.
We'll be back with more financial advice in a language you can understand next week. We'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
During today's Dollars and Cents episode with Freedman Financial, your hosts may have discussed specific financial planning and investment ideas that are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Please remember that investing involves risk and may include loss of principal. Although the money market fund seeks to preserve the value of your investment at $1 per share, it is possible to lose money by investing in the fund. Always consult a certified financial planner professional, qualified attorney, or tax advisor prior to investing to determine what is appropriate for you. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.